Weilà raga. How's it going, guys? I hope you're all doing great today. It is a lovely evening at the park. The sun is starting to set, and I figured why not enjoy this moment also with you guys, and let's have a little chat, you know? Today, I'd like to share with you guys something that I like to call reference phrases. Now, you guys probably already use reference phrases and you may not even realize it. What I found is that over the course of time, I found myself doing less and less of thinking about conjugations or thinking about sentence structure. I think in the beginning it's really important to pay attention to these kinds of things because you need to have a framework that you can work within. You need to have something to guide you, right? I mean, it makes complete sense. So in the very beginning, I remember I was always doing things like saying, okay, so I'm talking about I, which is io, then the verb mangiare, okay, it's an are verb, I'm gonna cut off the are, okay, it's io, I have to put in an o, so that, okay, mangio, because I don't always need the pronoun, or I could say io mangio, and then it's like, okay, io mangio che cosa, okay, io mangio una mela, because una is feminine, singular, like, you see how like my thought pattern would go, and I know it's probably this way for a lot of you guys, and even if you've, you know, gotten past this point, you've definitely been there at one point or another. So that is something that I always did in the beginning, and the issue with that, and I've mentioned this before in some of my videos, is that when you're doing this word for word kind of translation and you're putting in all this thought into what you're saying, what happens is it makes it difficult to speak faster. Because you're always thinking, you know? And it makes sense. This is another language you're talking about. It's not your native language. But here's what I found has helped me to be able to move on from that place, to start to just think things and say them. And that is by using what I like to call reference phrases, which basically means you keep a set of phrases in like your mental memory bank, in your mental vocab bank, in your mental word bank. There we go, that's what I'm trying to say. So you keep these phrases in your mental word bank and you refer to them, hence why I call them reference phrases. You refer to them whenever you're trying to say something similar or whenever you're trying to say something with a similar sentence structure. So I'm gonna give you a really basic example. This is what helped me to finally understand how to use indirect and direct object pronouns as well as the reflexive verb pronouns because they're pretty much the same thing. So here's what I would do. I used to watch this program called I Cesaroni. I've mentioned it yet again also in some of my past videos. I'll have a link for some info on it down below. In one of the episodes, the love interests in the episode, they were talking about moving in together. And the boyfriend was a little skeptical. So the girlfriend goes to her, "Ma, tu mi ami, vero?" Now, I know this may seem like a little bit of a sappy example because it means, but you love me, right? But this is what helped me, and maybe this very same phrase can help you guys too. I finally had like that aha moment where I understood direct and indirect object pronouns because I'm like, I get it, because I understood the context. And she was saying to him, what, you don't want to move in with me? Like, wait, you love me, right? So I was like, oh, that's how you use them, because she's saying, it is me that you love, so you love me, right? I finally was starting to understand that reversed placement of the pronoun and the verb in a sentence. It was all finally starting to make sense. So this is where I first started using reference phrases, where I first started saying, okay, so whenever I want to say something like this again, like ti voglio bene, why do we say ti voglio bene? Because it is you that I want well for. It is you that I care for. Oh, now it all makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a snowball effect. So I really recommend if you ever come across something that just makes complete sense to you and is something that you're able to remember, hold on to it. Use it as a reference phrase. So now what I'm gonna do, for some of you guys that maybe are a little bit more advanced in your studies, I'd like to give you guys a more advanced version of a reference phrase. This is something that I often think about when I'm trying to use something in the congiuntivo. So here's the phrase. It's something that we always say in English, so being able to say it in Italian I found was really good, and it has to do with the park. So seeing as I'm always here at the park, it just makes perfect sense in my life. So here's the phrase. Se non fosse stato per la pioggia, sarei andato al parco. I'll say it a little bit slower. Se non fosse stato per la pioggia, sarei andato al parco. Now we can translate this in a couple of different ways. I think it's actually only 2 ways. We have, if it hadn't been for the rain, I would have gone to the park. Here's the other way that you can translate it. It's a sentence structure that I find myself using quite often. Had it not been for the rain, I would have gone to the park. So saying if it hadn't been or had it not been. You probably have never even paid attention to that. You know, I know for myself, prior to teaching English and Italian, I never paid attention to this. It's just a normal thing to say, right? So the point of my story is that I always rely on that particular phrase when I want to say something similar. So this is what I mean by reference phrases, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably already did this. That's why I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. You guys probably already always think of things that you know are correct and that you've heard Italians say before. So you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna refer to those phrases and just swap out the words for the new ones that I need given this context. And if you're able to do that, that's fantastic. And I think that is definitely one of the keys to helping you to start speaking faster. So that is basically it though, guys. I just wanted to share with you what I call reference phrases and how I think you guys can utilize them to help you to speak faster and to really come to understand concepts. Feel free to leave down below in the comments section any reference phrases that you guys use. Maybe I can adopt them and maybe they can help me out too. Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out this video. Always remember to spread the love, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Ciao!